Some women are simply born rich, confident, and naturally magnetic to their desires. Let's be clear, this podcast is not for them. However, if you're a soul-driven, visionary, or entrepreneurial woman who's been on a mission to learn how to create a better future bursting to come out of you, welcome to my world. I'm Warwick, and this is Rich, Sexy, and Free. I've dedicated most of my career to helping women get to their core power and unlock the missing pieces for their own unique success. You may already know me as the author of The Big Book of Love. With 30 years experience in psychology, embodiment, manifesting, and energetics, we will be exploring together and with guests all things mindset, self-expression, and richer flow of money and love in your life. The keys to becoming rich, sexy, and free. So if this excites you, don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite platforms so you can stay up to date with the podcast. Hi, Jo here. I am so excited that today I have the beautiful Anna Ennis, who is joining us for today's guest podcast. Called the Queen of Personal Branding. She really does help women bring out the best of themselves. She is a personal branding mentor for women in their 40s who want to create something wildly successful. But she's also a badass wizard when it comes to business. So delighted to have Anna here. And I can tell you that the conversation just weaves and expands, and we talk about lots of juicy things around money. So I'm so happy I'm sharing this with you. And I will see you inside the podcast. It's so brilliant to have you here today on Rich, Sexy, and Free. And I'm so excited about this conversation. I know that you've just come back from an amazing trip, which we will definitely want to talk about. So I expect that you're fully energized and, basically doing the Rich, Sexy, and Free thing. Why don't we dive into the first question? What does rich, sexy, and free mean to you?
I love that you asked this question. First off, I think it's really cool that we're halfway around the world and we're like recording this together. So it's really fun. So thank you for the opportunity. I love being in your world and I love seeing all the stuff going on that you have going on. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So rich, sexy, and free. You know what? This has changed a lot the past few years for me. What that really stands for in my world. And when I think of rich, sexy, and free, I think of freedom. I think of this place of peace and stillness. And I think of the luxury of time. I think of an abundance of all of those things, which I think are really tied directly in my world to actual tangible things too. And it's crazy because the more that I've stepped into more of the quieter times, the more money has just all of a sudden appeared. So as someone who was a former overachiever and someone who was always hustling and grinding and going after, it feels good to be in this space of rich, sexy, and free. And I think, you know what else too? I think the most sexy, free thing is when we have learned how to step into our actual feminine and what that actually looks like, right? Being confident and working on our confidence daily when it comes to simple stuff like the clothes we wear, the makeup, the time that we spend with ourselves, like the relationships that we have. I think that's all really hot, dude. I was looking back at some pictures of when I was in my 20s. And when you're in your 20s, you just think you're hot as hell. And then you realize when you get into your 30s, your 40s, right? All of a sudden it's like, oh no, I think wisdom is really beautiful. And I'm really enjoying the heck out of my 40s right now. I never thought I'd enjoy it this much. I feel more liberated than I've ever felt. I feel more sexy and alive. And gosh, it's just it's a good time. I imagine my 50s and 60s are even going to be better and better. So I'm excited. I can't wait.
But I know that I was only mentioning about this in the last episode, about what I look like in my 20s. I was quite fierce in my sexuality. And yet I was always drawn to people who had crinkles and the character. I've always been very drawn to people who had scars and stories, and much more interesting than someone who has a perfect facade. There's no story to their face. So it's so interesting to hear that. I'm turning 49 next month. But it seems so strange wanting to be in my 50s, which now seems like such a cool place to be. But also this journey of, am I really there? I don't feel like it. I don't look like it. And yet there is this liberation at each stage, this liberation and liberation of just going, no, I get to do it my way. I think as the world is changing for women and for men, and we get to do it differently, I think it's so exciting that it just becomes a new level of wisdom and showing up and confidence. Aging is a beautiful gift. My best friend unfortunately has cancer at the moment, and it is a reminder she's younger than me. And it is a reminder that there's a frigging gift to be here,
Yeah.
to show up
Yeah.
that you possibly can. So I love what you're saying. So with that, you've just come back from, you and I do the same thing. We do personal soul retreats, very much about aligning with God, source, divine, however we want to personally define it. And for me, I definitely call them, I have single days, I do it as well, God days. I call them God good days. And also that process of just really going within and really listening to the God within, the God without. So how does that affect you within your rich, sexy and free, having just come back from your little road trip of your journey and that self retreat?
You know what? I started doing these solo retreat trips in 2019, and I do them every 90 days. And I've missed a couple here and there, but they started off because I'm a mom and I'm a wife also. And so in the beginning stages, it was like I could only do a half day or I could only do a coffee date. And then it evolved into a full day. And then now it's a weekend. And honestly, like they're the glue that holds my life together. The intensity of my business is expanding and has been expanding pretty dramatically the past 18 months to 2 years. And this has been the thing that actually has transformed my creativity, has made me more confident, has aligned me with the correct things I should say yes to and the things I should say no to. It's given me a really great relationship with God, which I feel like we already have a great relationship, but it feels even more intense after. And so for me, these trips have like really helped me define like the journey that I'm on and where I want to refine and where I want to evolve to. It's also helped me just reflect in my relationships. Which people do I want close to my circle? Which people in the current season I'm at do I need to give some distance? And you know what? That contemplation time, I think we undervalue it sometimes. I know I did for years. I undervalued the quiet time. I always thought I had to be doing and producing something in order to see results. But what I've learned the most in the past 3, 4 years is that the only way for me to be truly speaking from who I am and my truth and my essence is by quieting down and tapping into my creativity and my sensuality and all the stuff, right? And I don't really think we can do that unless we create pockets of time in our life where we disconnect from the current reality. And I think for me, traveling has been that avenue also. Like, I know you enjoy traveling also. It's so wild that when you challenge yourself to go to a new place and you got to book the hotel and you got to get transportation and like all of those things as women, sometimes we don't always do that on our own. We're in community or we're doing it with a group. And I think there's some power into our freedom and our liberation when we like do that for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be far. Most of the times when I first started out doing this, it was just driving in the car. Sometimes I'd drive 8 hours, 10 hours, but it was like, I was so proud of myself because when you have little kids and a husband or you have people in your life, your identity almost gets really wrapped up in that and you lose yourself a little bit. And so for me, this was the time for me to come back home, come back to who I've been. And it's changed over time. Now it just looks different. And there's no expectation upon the trip other than it's the gift that I give myself. And I always eat yummy food. I buy new pajamas. I buy a new journal. Like it's literally like this luxurious date I take myself on. So yeah, it's cool. It's transformed every part of my life. I would have never thought that 4 years ago that I'd be saying that. I'm probably my overachiever self 4 or 5 years ago would have probably said, oh, when I make this much per money, I'll be successful. Or when I have this many clients. And that's all great and dandy. I love success at that level, the materialistic level. I love it. But I also know that it has no meaning unless you've done it from a place of purpose and from your soul and from a place of this is really me.
I know for myself on those journeys, full permission to not care what I look like. That was one of the things that I can slop around doing, smelling exactly how I want to. I've just come back from a month of traveling around the UK for a month, and I think I did about 4,000 miles, and my dog and myself camping and just being. And there was process, there was enlightenment, there was nourishment, there was tears, there was journaling, and there was meditation, and there was wild swimming and all of that. The perfect setup for me is traveling every 3 months and going on a city break or something. I do the bigger stuff or the longer trips when I've left it too long. And that's when I suddenly go, I need to go traveling, or I need to take a whole month off or something like that, because I haven't maintained myself, or I've fallen off my own path of rich, sexy, and free. And so I'm like, oh my God, I have to bring myself back. I need more time. I think that leads us in perfectly to what's the biggest thing that you have learned or practiced this year, and how it has impacted your life, your business, money, or your freedom.
I literally can't believe I'm saying this out loud because my oldest version of myself would have never said this, but less is more. And I'm a more person. I'm an extra person. So for me to get to that point in my life, that feels really good to say because I always dreamed it would be that way, but I never really knew how. And I'm starting to learn how this works. And so, like, from a very practical, I'll share practical because I'm a practical person, but I adjusted my schedule to fit a little bit better, right? So, Monday through Thursday, I work on my business and in my business. And for certain periods of time throughout the day, right, I meditate 3 times a day. Like, I have a lot of different spiritual practices that I've incorporated in to tap into my creativity. And then on Fridays are my day for myself, self-care day. Saturdays, I do photo shoots and branding shoots and big, long, all-day events, 12, 14-hour days. So I do like to have that day for fun. And then Sundays, I unplug everything. We just hang out as a family. We usually don't get out of our jammies until really late. I think the thing that I've transformed the most and learned the most in the past, most recently in this year, is that in order for me to function at the high caliber that the world desires me to be and what I desire to be, like, I actually take 2/3 rest time and 1/3 productivity time. And so for me, it used to be the opposite. It was like percent working, 10% freedom and quiet, and not even quiet, just like watching TV or doing something else other than work. And now it's like the opposite. And it's wild when you trust yourself at that level, what actually happens. It's crazy. I have these negative thoughts that come where I'm like, am I doing this right? Is this really how it's supposed to be? Like, am I supposed to be this like happy? What, or am I supposed to be this grateful? It's just the weirdest feeling because gratitude before was like a practice. It was something like I did every day. And it was like intentionality was a practice. And it was like this thing that I did to like, because I said my life would be better. And now it's just woven in like this really pretty thread of it's weaved together my life. And I don't even realize I'm practicing it anymore because it's just like happening. And this is so funny. My husband and I are in Costco. I got back from this trip and we went to Costco. We're paying at the register and out of nowhere, I'm like sitting there tearing up and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And it was like, I looked at the bill that we paid and it was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Whoa, this is crazy. I'm so grateful for our life. I'm so grateful that we're here together shopping and it's the stupidest things that like all of a sudden have become this feeling of the greatest life ever. Or I'll be walking my dogs in the middle of the day and nobody gets to walk their dogs in the middle of the day when you work a 9 to 5. I'm so grateful taking my kids to school. It's the weirdest thing. I would have thought when I practiced gratitude a long time ago, even a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I have money coming into my account. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I had a full snack or that I have biceps or that I have, it was all this physical stuff. It was like, oh, that's interesting. And now it's just a different level. So
And it's
for me,
so mechanical as well.
but most of us, that's how we practice gratitude and intentionality is through a very mechanical way.
But yeah, hilarious to hear. And it makes me laugh because it's one of the things, of course, I teach with my clients is that for a long time, I said I don't use the word gratitude. I use the word enjoyment because you're in joy and appreciation. And I learned it from Abraham Hicks because they always say gratitude only means that you're saying, thank fuck, I got over that.
Yeah. It's an after thing. It's an after.
It's like, thank you, I'm doing this terrible thing that I usually, and it's like, but actually when you're in the flow of just joy and choosing those moments of joy, and I should say the joy can be in the fact that you've gone to Costco or that you're walking your dog or that you're cold water swimming, which I was playing in the sea today, having absolute joy. And but being on your bike or doing something so normal. I've just come off a session with a client and I had such joy. I'm reaffirming to myself once again, if I don't feel joy about it and enjoyment, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because the greatest successes that have ever happened in my life was when I said, if it's fun, I will do it. And if it's not, I won't do it. And I was saying it when I was younger, but it is that when you're in joy, the joy itself is feeding you. The only thing you've got to do, which we're so good at normally, which is going, oh my God, this is terrible. And I'm really aware of this terribleness. And I'm going to be really aware of this terribleness, is instead going, I feel joy. And I'm really aware of this being in joy. And let's enjoy this joy. And let's pump it up and juice it and enjoy it. And oh my God. And I've just done gratitude without doing anything.
Yes.
I'm just there. I'm just really appreciating this sandwich I'm eating or dancing around to a song. It gives me a fun boost. I'm loving it. I'll keep doing it. So for our listeners, Anna has achieved the large amounts of success in many forms. So I'm really interested, what's something that at the time you thought was a failure, but now you see was a great learning for your success?
That's such a good question. I've had a lot of nagging voices about failure because I think growing up, I always saw failure as a bad thing. When you're like a person who seeks achievement in all parts of their lives, on the outside, everyone looks at that as something that's, oh my gosh, you get so much done, you become so much, but at what cost? And so for me, I've worked really hard on keeping that achievement mindset in check. And actually, I think a good portion of my life when I didn't do something perfect was considered a failure. Ditching perfectionism was a huge thing for me. It still creeps up sometimes when within my work because I care so much about the work.
Yeah.
And I care so much about being my best in all aspects of my life that sometimes it becomes detrimental. Not, yeah, it just becomes this weird negative place where I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. So I think that overall mindset wise has felt like a failure that I've had to work through. I think from a practical standpoint, when I first went online, I definitely felt like a failure a lot. And what I mean by that is I came from a brick and mortar business and I was in the beauty and wellness industry for 20 plus years, and there wasn't a lot that I did online. Then, when I decided to transition online, I did my hair stuff online, which was fine because it was something I did for a long time. So it felt comfortable. But then when I started edging out and taking some of the other skills that I had learned in my 20 plus years, a career of owning business and training and leading and traveling and doing all the stuff I did in the hair industry, and I started coaching, like really coaching and consulting, yeah, there was a lot of points where it's felt like failure, especially when I went into like masterclasses and programs and like when I started creating digital content, when I started putting stuff together, like that has felt like a failure a lot. When I did my first lives and I would try to get on a live and my whole chest would just turn bright red and I couldn't speak and I would sweat and it was like I'd get off that call and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a failure. Like you can't do this." When you're newer at speaking or when you're newer at masterclasses or programs and stuff or holding a group coaching environment, there's lots of points where you get off and you're like, "Oh God." So yeah, it's definitely, I think for me, entering the online space has been very humbling because it was such a different environment for me. And it felt the most like failure because the online world is so much different than real life. Like, and for 20 years, I was one to one with people, or we had salons, and I was like part of a big culture and an environment of this in-person thing. And it was very easy for me. I'm a very easy person to build rapport when it's one to one or when it's in person. And so to go online, there was this totally different vibe that I was like, this, oh, and I fell into that vibe instead of sticking to my truth. And then a couple years ago, about 2.5 years ago, I was like, yeah, no, this isn't me. I'm going to just bring who I am into this and I'm going to change the online space how we show up as women because this is bullshit. This is not how we're meant to be as humans. So for me, when I gave myself that permission, it changed. But yeah, there's been a lot of different failures throughout my life. I don't know if I could pinpoint one, but most recently it's probably the online experience and like working through that feeling of needing external validation.
So in that, because your business is online and very successful online. So what do you think it was that alchemized it from that perception of failure to success?
You know what? I spent a lot of money and I bought a lot of programs and courses and coaches and all the things, thinking that it was going to give me the $20,000 months, $30,000. Like I did all the things. And then one day, I don't remember the exact day, but I remember a time period happening where I was like, this is not me. My greatest gift, it was like a very strong download from God that was like, your greatest gift is visionary. Your greatest gift is connection with people. There's a reason why you built brick and mortar businesses to this beautiful level, right? It's because you have these skills. And so for me, was a slow evolution of I'm gonna just step into my gifts and I'm gonna turn the outside noise out. And I'm not gonna be a part of that anymore. If anything, my most valuable trait online is my gift to create connection with people and to create intimate, deep relationships with people. And so I started looking around the internet and noticing that was not happening. And I thought, what if I was that caliber? What if I was that person? So every time I look at someone and they're doing something fantastic, there's a part of me that sometimes when I'm a little hormonal, I'll look at them and I'll think, oh, I should be doing that. I want to be like that. But then I stop myself and I say, no, 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 no. That's her gift, not your gift. So for me, it was like really stepping into my gifts is what really started changing things for me. And I think the way that changed was just my relationship with my faith. Like my faith is very extremely strong right now. And I think in order to make anything work and to really tap into ourselves, we have to have some type of faith for anything to work. Yeah, I was talking about this earlier today. It's like when you have a goal, it's one thing. That's a goal, I think, is in our human form. We go after goals, one after another. And it's like everywhere you look is the rat race of goals, but it's the crazy visionaries, it's the crazy people that go after dreams. And dreams take high levels of belief, high levels of faith. It takes something bigger than ourselves because a dream is just massive to where you look at it and you're just like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, it was really strengthening my faith and like really just deciding that my weaknesses don't matter, but my strengths do. So I'm gonna go there. It feels better.
Ah, I so love that. I so love that. And it so resonates with me. I have to say that I built my online business the first time. It was very successful at the beginning because I was creating programs when programs didn't really exist. I was one of the first people to have a program and all of that. But because I created it through blogging. And so all of my clients came to me through blogging. So I blogged for 6, 7 years for all of these personal development sites, Mind Unleashed, Tiny Buddha, all of those. You can still find me online. But I was able to create connection through my writing, deeply like bringing my soul out onto the page. But the difficulty for me was I found that as the world changed and people moved away from blogging more, it became more going to do this whole personal thing by camera, talking to an empty audience most of the time. And I'm not somebody who works on that. I get fed by what I'm doing. So either I'm channeling by source, channeling through me and my inspiration, and that's fine, which is why I can write and I can create and do all that. Otherwise, I need to have a bounce with someone. I need to be in a personal, intimate relationship with you. That's why I love doing these guest conversations. And I think we're not alone in that. But you're right. I would agree for faith, more faith, more faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your gifts, faith in your talent, faith in your own powerhouse inside, faith in everything that comes from your own source, your own God, your divine. Just, you've got to hold that bigger than anything if you want to have more than just, I think, as you said, goals. To me, goals seem like I'm going out to go and hunt that. It's the caveman. I'm going to go out and kill that mammoth. That's a goal because I want to eat. But that's not going to achieve anything. Your dream is more about, hey, why don't we actually move out of the caves? I know there's more in the world than just the cave. So let's move on to money. What was your relationship with money?
So I came from a single mom who worked her butt off. And there was always a mentality you have to work really, really hard for money.
Yeah.
And I've always done this weird thing in the past where I held on to money really, really, really tight. And then I would spend it and it would just all go away. And then I would hold on to it really tight and then it would just all go away. And it was like this up and down pendulum thing. I made a lot of really crazy mistakes in my younger years with money. I had bankruptcies, I had credit cards that were overdone, I had a foreclosure. Like, I've done all the mistakes that you make with money, and I did it all before 25. So, yeah, you can imagine I went into an environment where I came from no money and then I started making a lot of money, and I didn't really have the skills to manage it very well. And so I remember the best thing that ever happened to me was I was 19 years old, and this financial planner came into our company and he was like, "Hey, let me explain this." That's the first time somebody sat down with me and explained
Yeah.
money, because they don't teach it in our schools, right? And most of our parents didn't really talk about it. So I think my relationship with money was just very weird. It was very weird, and it related very much to my food also.
Yeah.
So I think right now, even as we currently speak, I'm not there yet. I'm still working on neutrality. I'm not completely neutral yet. And I desire that. And I know it's coming. I know for right now, it feels like I'm self aware now, and I can discern really well when I'm getting triggered or when things are coming up or when my husband's business is just going crazy right now. And so for me, as money starts coming in, it's like the Costco thing, right? Where I'm like, oh my god, because I remember the days when we couldn't afford a $1,500 bill at Costco, you know what I mean? And so for me, even though we could do that times, my heart is very humble in the fact that I remember every day where I came from, but I also that's not like a crutch or anything. It's something that just like I hold on to in my heart, and I have these just wild and crazy and wonderful thoughts about money now. It's a beautiful tool for me to give back to the people that I love and that I adore. And we've just gotten to do some cool stuff with money lately. I was so tied to it before, Joe, like so tied to it as a benchmark of success, how much money I had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people struggle with that also in the world of it defined my identity. And I made very clear when I was young to make a lot of it and to have that as my icon. And then as my faith started strengthening and my relationship with God started strengthening, my neutrality of money has definitely come a lot easier than it did in the past.
Would you say it actually goes hand in hand? Whereas a lot of people might have programming that says, oh, if I have faith and I have a relationship with God, that I can't have money, which again is total absolute BS. It's just another limiting belief. So do you think they go hand in hand? Is that how you've alchemized from that fear place of holding money?
What really has grounded me in the relationship of money that I have right now is I got really clear why I wanted to make money, like, and what the purpose behind it was. And for me, I'm not driven by crazy materialistic things, even though we have some really beautiful things in our life right now. I'm personally not driven by that. At the core of my being, like, I'm driven by giving massive amounts of money to other people to change their lives, to transform their lives, to have the basic necessities that they need. Like for me, being able to give thousands and thousands of dollars to an organization that trains families how to interact and be with each other, how to have the basics of things. Like to me, that's the greatest thing ever. And so for me, I think holistically, I just want the world to have the basic needs that we need. And I think that really just comes from investing in things that are important to you. So for me, I just got really clear on why I wanted all this money. And I still, every day, I think as more and more money comes in with both of our businesses, when I do our bills on Friday and we do them together, we have the conversation of, okay, who do we want to give to this week? Or what do we want to do in our lives now? Or my husband's really stuck on this thing. He's Italian and he's actually working on getting dual citizenship. I think the neutrality has come with getting really, really friggin' clear on what my icons are.
Yeah.
And flipping the switch of what really matters.
And I love that you're saying, when you say icon, can you just confirm to people what that means to you?
This feels uncomfortable to say, but I think my icons have always been people and idols in the past. And it's always been like, from the youngest ages I can remember, I had people plastered up on a Michael Jordan or like Celine Dion or like all these crazy people that in my mind felt really big and successful and like, I want to be just like them. Or like even coaches. I've done that too, where I've paid all this money for a coach because I'm like, oh, she's going to lift me up. She's going to do everything. I put them on this pedestal and they became like iconic to me, where I was like, oh, I have to be just like her, I do all the things. And For me, I've just uncovered that people always let you down, or they make a mistake because we're human, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But the success of my whole life was usually patterned after someone who was way more successful than me, and I would just follow that path.
Yeah.
And there was no anything else involved. Like, it was just, it's all about the go.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's been just believing in something bigger than myself, honestly. I used to claim to not have a big ego in the past. And on the outside, it looked like I didn't have a big ego. But honestly, Joe, I had a very big ego.
There's a lot in the spiritual community about saying, oh, the ego, the ego, the ego. We can't survive in this world without the ego. It has a purpose.
Correct.
It just, if you only have ego, it's hunting the mammoth.
Correct. You're so right. We need it more than anything.
Put it in the back seat where it should be, and it will be. And it tells you where the danger is, and it tells you what your desires are, what you need in the moment. The one I had to overcome a lot was that statement of pride before a fall.
Yes.
But learning to be fucking proud of myself has been the biggest just lesson of my life. I never idolized people. To be honest, I never knew anybody was. It was about the achievement. Everything I was ever taught was we give you attention if you're doing it wrong. So if you're doing it right, you don't get attention. So actually learning to praise myself, as you said earlier, that's their gifts. It's their journey. It's not your journey. We don't know where anybody starts from. I'm so grateful for the realness of everything you shared today. Is there any last thoughts that you want to share with the listeners about their journey to rich, sexy, and free?
You know what? I'm in this phase of savoring. It reminds me that I get to take my time and this gets to play out. And what am I rushing towards? And so every time I'm in a rush, every time I'm hustling around, which it's okay because we do sometimes need to do that, right? We got to get shit done. Okay. But like every time I'm in overmax overdrive where it's like feeling like a little toxic, I think about, what are you running to? And then I think, okay, when you get there, then what? Then what? Then what? And I play that then what game, where it's like, and then all of a sudden it starts diffusing the bigness of that achievement.
Yeah.
And like it brings me back home to center. And so I think the thing I'm embodying right now in my own life is just enjoying the time that it's taking to get there. Because I've always been in such a rush to get there. And most of the time I get there faster than anyone. And I've prided myself on working harder and staying the latest and like all the things. Okay. But now I'm priding myself on how much can I fall in love with just the current day-to-day things? How much can I fall in love and savor just the moments of drinking my darn water or taking a break or whatever it is, doing this computer sales page or all the things like. So I think for me, I just hope that there's like an invitation there at the end of this conversation that your dreams matter a really friggin' lot and you got to go after them. It's your duty, born here on earth, to go after your dreams. But then as soon as you start your dream and you start going after your dream, right? Like savor as you go, gonna happen. When you put it out there, it happens. It's wild.
And I'm going to leave us with an analogy that you've made me think of something I just call this often with my clients, is that you don't usually try to rush to an orgasm. Enjoy the process.
Yes.
Enjoy the pleasure of the whole experience. Otherwise,
and then what? And then
and then what? And it's been absolutely gorgeous as ever. So lovely to connect with you. And I hope everybody checks out your work. Tell people where they can find you on Instagram or Facebook.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Anna Ennis. On Instagram, I'm Anna Ennis Hatton.
And if you haven't seen it, do check out because Anna posts some amazing videos of the wonderful women behind the scenes of these amazing branding days. And it's just really gorgeous to see these women shining. It's been great to connect with you today. But before you leave, if you want to find out more about how I can help you personally or check out any of my books, products, or coaching packages, just simply go ahead and visit richsexyandfree.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.